welcome back to the 23rd episode of our still unnamed survival series. We are going to start things off a little differently today because I have made this. This doesn't look like much, I know. You probably can't even tell what this is. This is a to-do list. We're going to put some stuff up on this wall that we really need to do. So I'm going to put a few things up and then I'm going to show you guys my ideas. This is everything that I have so far. I've always wanted to put a 3x3 piston door on our villager trading hall. We definitely need some sugarcane automation, and I've already got a spot picked out for our nether gold farm. I'm also going to build a really big mountain somewhere over here by Guardian Lake. I would like to have a piglin bartering farm sometime before that. That'll be when we're in the nether, and that'll probably go hand in hand with our gold farm here. Swinging back to the mountain, I am going to clear out the underside of it to put some farms in there. And this mountain is going to hold our new general mob farm. I would like to replace the one that is outside of our village. Oh, our village. I would like to work on the detail included in our village. So I'm going to be doing that when we decorate our village. I'm going to talk about a few things on that list because that was a pretty big list to start things off. We're going to be terraforming this area right over here, getting rid of most of this water, and adding a larger land mass. I'm also going to be building a mountain in this general area, which is going to lead into our farm. This area is also going to be primarily land, and that's going to be our nation connecting to our castle. The idea that I'm going for is when I'm standing on top of my castle, I want to look around and see a large cityscape circling around my castle and extending as far as I can see. Over by this lake in this area, we're going to be having the outskirts of the village, which we're already building. That is the village we are currently building now, is the farming community. It's going to wrap all the way around Guardian Lake, so we will need to terraform all of this eventually. The idea that I have in my head is the further away we get from the city, which will be over here, the farther apart our buildings will end up being. We'll have more space between them for farmland, and it'll feel more like a rural community than inside of a city. The city will be tighter, more close-knit, and well thought out, as opposed to the village that we're starting now, where I literally shot an arrow into the sky and built a building wherever it landed. But the goal of the city and the outskirts of the city is to make it feel lived in, make it feel real. That means there needs to be infrastructure, bridges, rails, paths, things to get people from place to place. So to start off that infrastructure, we're going to add a few little bridges between these islands to make it look more like a community. I'm going to start off our first bridge with its support beams. The idea for this bridge is kind of a suspended rope bridge, slightly askew going downwards to the other island. I'm going to put the main structure and shape of the bridge in first so we can work around that. When I'm building this bridge, I'm trying to think of the beams themselves as fallen trees, like somebody cut down a very large tree and just tipped it over the river and built the bridge from that. So I'm trying to keep these as straight as possible and as even as possible so I can still get the feel that I'm looking for. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to blend this in with the island though. I don't know. The structure has all been finished up, and I think it's time to start working on a little bit of the details. I'm putting it in the floor, and I want to kind of keep it uneven and lopsided. The idea behind this bridge is a small, simple bridge that is old, rickety, and kind of rotted away. I want it uneven because I want this to feel like rotted wood underneath the floor of it, similar to like an old jungle bridge. I think I hit the idea pretty well. This looks pretty good. We're not done yet. We have the general idea established and the frame of it built. I'm going to start working on the details of it. I kind of thought that our bridge needed a little bit more of a gentle slope, so I've added some trapdoors and hope to get that feel. I like the shape of the floor, but I do think that it needs a little bit more variety, a little bit more texture, and a little bit more depth. So I'm going to add campfires to our wood so it looks like there's holes rotting in it now. We're also going to add some more colors so it looks kind of like some boards have rotted away and then been replaced. Yeah, I'm really liking how this is looking. But building in the dark has reminded me that we need some light on this bridge. I was kind of thinking for the light, we could also incorporate that into our railing. I was thinking we could put some leads as rope sides, and I think that would be pretty cool. We could double stack these walls and then put some sort of woven pattern with leads connecting the walls together. I think that would look really cool, and I think we're gonna give that a try. After we put the lanterns on, of course. So I've grabbed some leads and we're gonna give this a try. Or not? Wait, do leads not attach to walls? What the heck? Why do they... That's mildly infuriating. Alright. You know, we're just gonna ignore that entirely and move on to something completely different. We've put some small walls just along the side of this bridge, and hopefully that's enough to make it feel like there's an actual wall, something to keep you from falling off the side of this bridge. But of course there's not. But I think that looks pretty good. I think we're gonna call that done. I actually really like the way this bridge looks. We might need to do some terraforming to this island just to make the connecting points look a little better. We're also going to put another bridge on this island, so I don't know how that's going to work out. And now that we're done with that bridge, we're going to take a hop, skip, and a jump over to another smaller island in the area where we are going to add another bridge connecting the two islands. This bridge is going to be kind of at an askewed angle, not straight like our last bridge, and it's going to be a lot smaller. I would also like to make this one kind of arched, but I'm not entirely sure how to do that on a scale this small. I've built a few bridges similar to this in the past, but none quite as tiny. So I'm hoping I can get the proportion of this bridge exactly right. I kind of like the way this is looking now, so I'm just going to roll with it. I would like to try and keep all of our bridges at a consistent width. I want all of our paths to be kind of coherent and kind of similar in that way. I also want this bridge to be a little askew from itself. I want it to feel like it's actually at a diagonal and not just straight across like our last bridge. So we're going to copy the same angle and curves that the other side has, but we're moving all of our blocks one block forward, and hopefully that gives us an interesting feel. And just like our last bridge, I want the floor to feel kind of rotted away, kind of old and deteriorated, but I do want this bridge to feel more symmetrical than the last one. I want this to feel kind of even, just old and dilapidated. So I'm going to be building the same type of staircase on both sides to keep it even. Honestly, I'm kind of struggling with this little bridge. I'm not sure if the ratio between the width and the length is what's throwing me off, but everything I do, I don't seem to like. If I add a layer up top, then it seems like it's too small. If I don't put that layer up there, the whole thing seems too big. I just don't know why I think it looks terrible. I've tried a bunch of different stuff and I just can't get it to a point where I like it. I think I'm just gonna leave it and hopefully I don't notice it too bad on the finished bridge. I think I'm gonna do something else on this bridge for now. I would like to give this a little bit more of an archway without actually giving it an archway. So I'm going to be using stone brick slabs and stone bricks to kind of accentuate the curves of this bridge. It's going to make it look a little bit taller than it actually is, and I hope that that will just kind of pull everything together. And doing that might also give me a little bit more wiggle room with how high I can go up on the floor. I think that kind of distracts from the fact that the floor is just oddly proportioned. I don't like that though. What if I put trapdoors here? Does that look good? That does look good. I like that. That fits pretty well. I don't think we can do that over here. I'm gonna try some stairs. That seems to work. Yeah, I kind of like that too. I've decided I'm going to leave the slope of the bridge exactly how it is. I'm not going to try and do any more tearing down or changing of this floor. I'm just going to try and break up the texture and make it look a little bit more detailed than it is right now. I'm hoping that when I add more blocks, it distracts me from the fact that I don't like the way this bridge is shaped. And just to break up the texture again, I'm going to add a few more campfires. When you're working with campfires, you do have to keep this in mind that they are about as tall as a slab, but they can only be placed on the bottom part of a block, so you can only place them in certain areas. And what Riverside Bridge is complete without lights? We're going to be adding lanterns to all of our bridges, trying to light up the area and make everything as spawn-proof as possible. All things considered, I really like this bridge. I love the way that it flows. I'm still kind of iffy on the floor, but I don't like the way that it connects with the ends on our islands. We're going to have to do something about that. We got to keep this rock right here, but I think we're going to have to terraform the rest of the island. It just looks a little ugly with this ravine right here, the sandstone, and a cave that I didn't know was here. We're gonna have to explore that eventually. Not the point. We're gonna have to do something with the islands to make them look just as pretty as the bridges connecting them. And yes, these islands are going to be connected. I am going to put one more bridge right across here at a diagonal. This is by far the fanciest bridge we're going to be building today. It's going to be in the style of our houses, just in bridge form. And I think this is best done in a time lapse. I love this bridge. I adore almost everything about this bridge. I love the Viking architecture. I love the stone and the wood, the roof, the rafters. I love everything about this bridge. I really love the invisible light. I think this is by far one of my favorite things I have ever built. I love this bridge. I tried to keep this bridge in the same theme as our village just so it actually looks like it belongs here, but I still think we need to do a bit more work to this area, so I'm going to be terraforming just to make things look a little bit better. All of our bridges are in place, and I'm looking at things from a sky view, and I feel like we might need to move our cows. I would like to terraform the ends of all of our bridges just so we can actually get a clearly established path and make things easier to get on and off of them. But for our first bridge, we have a cow farm in the way. So I'm thinking that we need to move all of our cows over to our barn area where we already have a pen to put them. It's just a matter of moving them over there. So let's pull out our wheat and guide them to their new home. I've gotten most of them over here. We did lose a few on the journey, but that's all right. As long as we have 2 in our pen, everything will be just fine. I think we ended up with most of our cows actually in here. We do have a significantly smaller space than our last pen, which is okay. We're just gonna have to get rid of some of these cows eventually. But now that we have these guys in here, we need to go do something very similar with our sheep. Now we can finally get rid of this huge eyesore that was right in the middle of our village. I think I'm also just going to shrink our sheep farm, make it a tad bit tinier, just to give us a little bit of extra room to terraform and do whatever we really need to do to make this a beautiful place. Now that our cows are moved and their pen is taken care of, we need to do the same thing with the sheep. I'm going to move them into a pen about a quarter the size of the one they have now, just so I can terraform this area a little bit more comfortably. I would like to make paths going to and from our buildings a little bit further in the future, so I kind of want to prep a little bit for that too. My goal is to have, no matter where you are in this village, it look interesting and you can just enjoy walking down the streets. Now that I've moved everything out of the way, I am going to grab some dirt so we can actually start terraforming. The first thing that I want to try and do is make it so we can actually walk up and out of our bridges without anything stopping us. I don't want to jump. I don't want to do anything like that right at the front of our bridge. So I'm going to raise up this area just a little bit so we can have easy access to the starts of our bridges. I also want to try and give this a natural shape so it actually flows with the way the ground is shaped. I'm going to try and work around the structures that we have now, pretty much just the sheep farm. I also want to try and bring this out a little bit to the center of the village and maybe make the center of the village the focal point from there. Wonderful. Now that I have the basic shape of this little section done, I'm going to take away the dirt that we have underneath this layer just so we can actually save on dirt. This is something I will always try to do when terraforming, because basically what I'm doing is trading resources for the exact same amount of resources. This means that I can build a lot more with the same amount of time, I save on resources, and I don't disrupt the area I'm getting all of the resources from. I think that this is a great way to build a lot and get a lot of resources very quickly. And now that I've dug out everywhere I need to dig out, I'm going to cover it back up and it should look like nothing has happened to this area at all. We get a lot of dirt and some very pretty areas. We didn't terraform much over here, but we did just enough to make this area a little bit more usable than it was. And this is our first bridge. I think it looks pretty nice. It's a pretty simple bridge. We have our light, we have our detail. It does leave something to be desired underneath. We might terraform that a little bit later just to make everything look a little bit more connected underneath. This island also needs some extra love. Maybe a campfire or like a bench looking out into the ocean. I don't actually know yet, but this definitely needs some love on this little connection between this bridge. However, this bridge is awesome. This is my favorite bridge. We have our invisible light. Oh, we're missing a sea lantern in that one. I'll fix that later. But I really do want this little area to be easy to walk up and down, easy to get in and out of the bridge, and I absolutely need to get rid of this gap. But I'm loving the rest of the floor. These lines are perfect. I'm thrilled with how well it fits in with our Viking aesthetic. The block palette still fits in very, very well. Honestly, I love the rafters up here. I thought that was a neat little detail. One thing that I am not happy with is underneath the bridge. We still haven't finished it. We still don't have any support beams. I think I'm gonna wait to put those in until we actually terraform this area. I think that's gonna make it a little bit easier on me to actually put everything in when everything in the area is how it's going to stay. I'm still not sure what I want to do with this island though. I know I want to get rid of this ravine. I know I want to put a sakura tree somewhere in this area. It's going to fit with our city very well. It's going to tie everything together. I'm thinking I might put a few of those in this village as well, just scattered across this very large area that is going to be this village. I think I'm gonna need to terraform all of the areas around every bridge. I already did a little bit on this side just to kind of blend it together and give me an idea of exactly what I want. Overall, I am just really pleased with how everything turned out today. I couldn't have asked for anything to go better. This was fantastic. I think all of my bridges turned out amazing, especially the middle one. I could not be happier with how things turned out today. Unfortunately, I am out of time for this episode, so I'm gonna have to call it right here. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, share, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want to do. Hopefully, I'll see you next time. My name is Red Skies. Goodbye. If you're still watching, thank you. I really appreciate it. And as always, if you have any tips or tricks for using DaVinci Resolve or video editing in general, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear your thoughts.